Mumbai, July 2023. The airport never truly sleeps. Its terminals hum like arteries feeding the beating heart of the city. A restless rhythm of luggage wheels, flight announcements, and exhausted travelers. But that night, under the harsh white lights of the cargo terminal, a different kind of shipment was being quietly unloaded. On the manifest, it was harmless, confectionery. Biscuits, assorted. The declared weight matched. The paperwork checked out. It came from a legitimate distributor. To anyone scanning the daily cargo flow, it was just another pallet of sweet goods destined for supermarket shelves. But buried inside the cream of thousands of Oreo biscuits, a cartel had hidden something far more lucrative than sugar. Over 5 kilograms of high-grade cocaine. The bust that followed would expose one of the most creative smuggling operations India had ever seen, and turn a childhood snack into the centerpiece of an international investigation. The flight touched down from South America shortly after midnight. The air cargo terminal at Mumbai's Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj International Airport was busy, but not chaotic. Shipments of electronics, textiles, and food flowed through like clockwork. Among them, stacked on a wooden pallet, were 20 large cartons of Oreo biscuits. The consignment didn't draw attention. The packaging was crisp, factory sealed. The sender was listed as a regular exporter. Customs officers scanned the accompanying documents, airway bills, invoices, clearance certificates, everything matched. Forklifts moved the cartons into the bonded warehouse. A night supervisor signed off the intake. For hours, the shipment sat quietly, surrounded by hundreds of other boxes. No alarms. No dogs. Just silent confidence, the kind that comes from a plan meticulously crafted to blend in. But what the smugglers didn't account for was a single anomaly buried deep in the routine. One that would soon turn their perfect concealment into a national headline. By morning, the customs examination team began their random checks. They moved through consignments systematically, using a mix of risk profiling algorithms, intuition, and spot inspection. Normally, food products weren't top priority. But this batch of biscuits had a few oddities. The declared weight was slightly off compared to similar shipments. The exporter was legitimate but had recently changed their freight forwarding partner. And one of the boxes had a faintly different seal, like it had been repacked with extreme care. One officer, known for his sharp eye, decided to flag the consignment for secondary inspection. The decision wasn't dramatic, it was a gut call, the kind officers make hundreds of times a year. The cartons were moved to the examination zone. 2 officers sliced open the first box. Rows of Oreo packs stared back, glossy black and blue wrappers, exactly what they should be. They picked up a few packets. They weighed normally. But one officer noticed something subtle. The cream filling was unusually dense when squeezed gently through the plastic. Something was wrong. The packets were cut open one by one under supervision. Inside, the familiar black biscuits and white cream. But the cream was not cream. Beneath the thin layer of sugary filling was a compressed, chalky white substance, uniform, carefully molded, odorless but unmistakable to trained eyes. Field test kits confirmed it within minutes: high-purity cocaine. Shock swept through the inspection team. This wasn't a stray packet, it was systematic. Every packet in the box was modified. Each biscuit had been surgically split, filled with cocaine, then resealed with machine precision. An immediate alert was issued to narcotics authorities. The warehouse was sealed. The remaining boxes were brought in under escort. By noon, the entire shipment was under forensic examination. The scale became clear. Over 5 kilograms of cocaine, valued at millions of dollars, hidden inside a snack loved by millions of children. The innovation of the concealment stunned even veteran officers. It was a method that combined sophisticated chemistry, machine sealing, and precise weight management to avoid detection. The media didn't know it yet. But inside the terminal, everyone understood. This was not a one-off. It was the tip of something much larger. Within 24 hours, multiple agencies, Narcotics Control Bureau, NCB, Customs Intelligence, and international liaison officers, descended on the cargo terminal. Trace the origin, the handlers, and the intended recipients. Investigators began by backtracking the shipment's journey. Origin: a legitimate confectionery supplier in South America, whose export paperwork had been hijacked. Shipping path: routed through 2 intermediary freight forwarders to mask the true sender. Destination: a small trading firm in Navi Mumbai, newly registered, with no real operational history. Interviews with ground handlers revealed nothing unusual. The boxes were treated like any other. CCTV footage showed routine movement, no tampering at the airport itself. But behind the scenes, a digital trail began to emerge. Encrypted emails, forged invoices, sudden company registrations. The smugglers had embedded their operation into the arteries of global trade. And thanks to a few grams of dense cream and one sharp officer's suspicion, the entire machinery was now unraveling. The first breakthrough came from an email header. Buried deep in the customs paperwork was a digitally altered airway bill. The forgery was meticulous: watermarks, fonts, serial numbers, all perfect. But a single routing code pointed to a freight forwarder in Sao Paulo, one that had been under quiet surveillance for links to an international drug syndicate. NCB investigators worked with Interpol and the DEA, triggering a joint operation. Through encrypted communications, they discovered the smugglers were piggybacking on legitimate confectionery exports, exploiting trusted shipping routes to move drugs across continents. The operation was layered like an onion. South American cell, responsible for cocaine sourcing and biscuit manipulation using industrial-grade food sealers. Logistics middlemen, shell companies that existed only on paper to reroute cargo through neutral countries. Indian receivers, small import-export firms set up weeks earlier to receive the goods and dissolve immediately after delivery. The brilliance of the plan was in its banality: nothing flashy. No false compartments, no hollow statues. Just Oreos. And because food imports often move quickly with limited scrutiny, it slipped through the system, until now. For law enforcement, this was no longer just a drug bust. It was the exposure of a new smuggling model, one that could adapt to any consumer good. 2 weeks after the bust, dawn raids swept through Navi Mumbai, Pune, and Delhi. Armed officers stormed warehouses, office fronts, and apartments linked to the recipient company. Computers were seized. Financial records were combed through. 2 employees, both frontmen paid to sign documents, were arrested. Simultaneously, Interpol carried out synchronized raids in Sao Paulo, arresting key figures in the freight forwarding network. Hidden in a suburban factory, investigators found a biscuit assembly line, custom-modified to inject cocaine paste into cream fillings and reseal wrappers with factory precision. One officer later described it as a drug lab disguised as a snack factory. Surveillance footage showed workers in hairnets and gloves, methodically filling biscuits late into the night. The smugglers had turned a children's treat into a cocaine delivery mechanism. The raids revealed ledgers, naming multiple previous shipments that had already made their way into Europe and Asia undetected. The bust at Mumbai Airport had not just stopped one operation, it had cut off an entire distribution artery. The arrests triggered a domino effect. Over the next 3 months, customs authorities across Europe, Asia, and the Middle East began rechecking shipments of confectionery from the same routes. Multiple small seizures followed, nothing as dramatic as Mumbai, but enough to confirm the network scale. In India, the investigation led to policy shifts at major airports. Random checks on low-risk cargo were increased. Algorithms were retrained to flag unusual weight patterns in food imports. The bust became a case study for customs training. Media coverage exploded. Headlines like "Oreos with a dark filling" and "Sweet Smuggling Scandal" dominated TV panels. Images of black biscuits filled with chalky powder shocked the public. Parents joked nervously about checking their snacks. Officers quietly knew they'd only scratched the surface. Meanwhile, the syndicate's leaders remained elusive. Moving between countries, erasing digital trails, staying just ahead of extradition. But the Mumbai bust had forced them to retreat, proving that even the smartest plans can crumble because of a single sharp eye. Airports are engineered for movement of people, goods, and dreams. Every day, millions of items pass through without a second thought. But in July 2023, a few grams of cocaine hidden inside a cookie changed the rhythm of Mumbai's air cargo terminal. The Oreo Cocaine Scandal wasn't about guns, shootouts, or tunnels. It was about quiet precision, a criminal network hiding in plain sight, exploiting trust in the ordinary. And it was undone by a routine check, a weight discrepancy, and a customs officer who squeezed a biscuit just a little too hard. Today, the case stands as one of India's most innovative drug busts, bridging the worlds of global trade, narcotics, and everyday consumer goods. The smugglers tried to turn Oreos into Trojan horses, but they underestimated how even the sweetest disguise can crumble.